I don't have the board with me, so we're gonna have to just hear all the sound effects in our heads.
Okay.
No, Michael's going to have to hum all the sound effects.
Okay.
Michael,
okay, hold on.
drop a beat.
Sorry, I cracked myself up. I was gonna do it.
Welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we're doing it. I think you should leave that in, Michael. That should be this episode. We're back, baby. Did you miss us?
We're back.
Hello.
We recorded a bunch of episodes all at once, and we're here. I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and today I'm a Zoom boy. I'm a different recording day and time boy. I'm back from a cruise. I spent like a week not knowing what time it was because we kept changing time zones. And are you ready? Ready to hear about it? It's a good time, people. Get excited.
Well, I am Michael. I am a chaser, and I am also a slightly discombobulated population boy because I'm in Seattle right now for work, working for the Seattle Men's and Women's Choruses, and I'm recording, as you can probably hear, with my headset mic because my real mic is back at where I just moved to outside of Vegas, which is different from where they all are. It's all new. Yeah, I'm confused too.
Michael is officially the Wandering Jew today.
Yes.
Hey, my name's Don. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood, and today I am very well caffeinated. I've been making various iced teas, and today I have accidentally made a super caffeine concoction. Apparently, but woo! I'm ready. Let's do this.
Hi, my name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser, and I've just had a whirlwind of a Tuesday. Wow, yeah. So I don't have time to be discombobulated, people. I just don't have the time.
A whirl of wind, he says.
Today, Dan is a business lady in an 80s movie.
I prefer to think myself as like the cartoon character in a Warner Brothers movie with like bum 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 bum. That's my day today.
That's it.
That's it. Nailed it. Done. That's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you to our listeners, to our Patreon subscribers who we didn't get the Chaser episode out, did we?
No, I was working on it, and then I realized that I don't know how to post to the Patreon account, and Dan and Trevor were on vacation for a little while, so we do have that. It'll come out probably around the same time this episode does, a little later this week.
Awesome.
But yes, sorry for over-promising and under-delivering on that one, but it will be out very, very soon.
It's exciting. Lots of changes. New year, new us, same podcast. Thank you all for listening. We actually, on the cruise, there was someone who came over and they're like, I listened to your podcast. I was trying to figure out why your voice seemed so familiar. And then I heard you say something about the podcast. So,
oh, cool.
That's awesome.
You had a little fan moment.
Yeah.
Were they cool to talk to? Wait, they'll probably be listening to this right now.
So the answer is yes. They were super cool to talk to.
I mean, I don't know. I'm excited, and this is a little moment for us and them. I'm not going to say their name because I don't know if they want me to say their name. But yeah, I'm talking about you.
Their name is known. We want to tell you all about what we did during our time off, but we're going to tell you some news and some
current
events
stuff first.
Yeah.
And
no, actually,
the show we do
So this whole episode is kind of like follow-ups because
true.
Yeah.
These are all connected. All of let's go into pop culture, the music.
Okay, yeah. Imagine the pop culture music in your heads.
Snap along.
I don't have my board with me, so we're having you at home can hear the real music. We can't. Yeah. So this is when was it that we were talking about Robert Pattinson? It must have been 2020. It was a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
He was the spaghetti. What was it? The spaghetti
burger.
Spaghetti burgers, right?
Oh my God.
That was like May of 2020. Like
that takes me
back
back
in the day. Yeah, takes everybody back. Time is once again
God.
the flattest of circles.
Given that sort of taste in food, what is the spaghetti sandwich? Was that it?
It was like a burger with. I'm sure a listener remembers perfectly.
I think
it was like a burger.
Yes, it was a pasta burger. I remember that.
Yeah, the takeaway is that it's disgusting, and the pop culture moment is that Robert Pattinson slams male beauty standards in Hollywood. Says he once ate potatoes for 2 weeks as a detox. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
that sounds like some brand of Hollywood detox.
Yeah, because detox really means suffering. That's really what detox. No one's got like a Snickers diet to detox. Why is it? It's always raw potatoes, juiced celery. Come on, stop it.
Juiced celery, or as Don would call it, celery milk. Sorry, that's a little inside joke for the three of us because Dan wasn't there.
I like
yeah, and it's quite cool because he basically breaks down again. It's not that wild of a statement to make, but the sort of obsession with looks and the culture of getting thin and staying thin in Hollywood. But he focuses on it from his perspective, a male perspective. He says that he doesn't have body image issues of his own that he doesn't struggle with, but he's observing that this is across the board. Anybody who's acted or done a leading role in a Hollywood movie has struggled with this at some point, trying to like lose the weight, take the weight off, try different diets. He said he's tried all of these different diets to stay thin and to stay screen ready.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this endless struggle to look appropriate for movies.
Yeah. And what kills me is like he would be the person you would think most likely to not pay attention to this, like that he's naturally lean, he's naturally tall. If someone doesn't have to worry about being fat, you would think it would be Robert Pattinson. But no, that's not. Genes aren't good enough. You have to struggle. You have to suffer.
Yeah, especially as you get older, which I don't know how old he is exactly. I think he's probably over 30 though, at least, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like 35-ish. Yeah, but he's kind of cool because he's you can see that there's a personality under there, hidden underneath all of the like layers of Twilight, fangirling.
Well, but there's so many wonderful independent movies that he's done that he doesn't get nearly enough credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's always either Batman or Twilight, which is so unfair.
He was. I did like him
movies,
as Batman.
I like his description. So he describes keto as, there's a diet where you can just eat charcuterie boards, meat and cheese all the time.
I love that.
And then he was disappointed because you can't have beer. That completely defeats the purpose.
Definitely defeats the purpose.
Yeah, you can't have beer, but you can have all the charcuterie you want. Well, and no bread, and no crackers, and no fig jam.
If you want
no
carbs, you can have the. Now, Dan, if you want carbs, you can go on the potato diet, where you just get to eat potatoes with Himalayan salt.
But it's detoxing.
Okay, well, I feel like we can thank you, Robert Pattinson, for telling it like it is. You're a cool dude.
Yes,
I like that there are these superhero actors who have to go through hell are actually starting to speak up against it, because we have talked about other actors doing this, and like he's not the Batman we need, but the Batman we deserve, or whatever Commissioner Gordon says.
I always forget how that quote went.
If you think Robert Pattinson's body is an important issue,
we
have an even more important issue.
Oh, this is really Don. So true.
Yeah. So this is the issue of our times, Trevor.
Oh my God. So, okay, remember last year around this time when we were talking about the M&Ms and how they were going to be more diverse M&Ms,
diverse or gender fluid, or I forget what. Yeah,
like they took the high heels off of the female M&M and gave her sneakers, something more comfy.
She was not sexy anymore, according to one pundit who I don't really want to even say the name of because he doesn't deserve any more airtime.
Yeah, we'll just say it rhymes with fucker harm son.
Sure.
Anyway, so at the end of last year, they did unveil a new, M&M with a different body type, being like, there is now a female peanut M&M.
It was purple. So it was to celebrate the new purple color added to the bag.
And apparently was deemed obese by said fucker, even though she's the exact same size and shape as the yellow peanut M&M.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the M&Ms with abs yet.
It's so like this whole weird, discourse cycle around M&Ms is just kind of exhausting. And thankfully I didn't have to watch it play out in real time, because I've been spending less time on Twitter. But it's
I have to say, I am desperate for an M&M with abs now. I'm like desperate for it. I want Fucker Harmson to come online and say how uncomfortable it made him to stare at those abs and how he couldn't take his eyes off.
Oh, man.
And he found his hand drifting towards his crotch while looking at the M&M abs inexplicably.
Because that's his whole argument. His whole argument is that, the problem with wokeness is that I'm not hard.
I mean, basically, that's what the M&M's thing was last year.
That they're not
sexy
attractive
anymore.
enough anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so seemingly in response to this latest discourse cycle, M&M's announced that they were replacing their spokes candies with Maya Rudolph. And
all of them?
So I was in the middle of the ocean when I saw this. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a Super Bowl thing, just given the timing and like the fact that, the M&M store in like Times Square is based on having these strange candy people that seem to give people confusing feelings sexually.
And turns out that was true.
Yes. I think they thought maybe this next step would like calm things down, even though it seemed to like kind of escalate the craziness. And then they finally said like, okay, no, like the spokes candies aren't going anywhere. Like it's a Super Bowl thing. Everyone calm down.
Yeah, well, and I love the New York Times article that you talked about, Michael, or that you gave to the group here.
Yeah.
About how, because they had in the Times article, they had people weigh in like how M&M Mars handled this, and that they really sort of bungled it because they inserted themselves into the culture war, and then they were like, no, just kidding. Just that's all right. And what pundits were saying is that what you should have done is like, no, if you want to take a stand for this, go ahead and do that. You can't just sort of like, oh, sorry, bye.
By joking with your neutrality, you made neutrality a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's very well put, Mr. Don.
So they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Something interesting I realized about all of the quote unquote female M&Ms, female coded M&Ms, because I don't really understand at this point if they're trying to make the M&Ms like into just candy. All of the female M&Ms are voiced by women of color.
Oh,
okay.
Which I think adds an interesting layer to like the constant discourse around them. Is just because like leave the M&Ms alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and poor Amber Ruffin is the voice of Purple. And like, I don't think she had any idea of like,
oh God,
what this would turn into. And she's like, yeah, I'll be like a purple piece of candy. Sure. Like,
because why would that have consequences? Jesus Christ.
I have this image in my head. So, the, I can't remember his name, but the Leave Britney Alone video, like one of the OG viral videos.
Yes.
I have Trevor and it's M&M's. Leave her alone.
Leave Purple alone.
That's kind of how I feel. I mean, I like the iconic trio of Bree Summers as the green M&M, Vanessa Williams as Ms. Brown, the M&M, and then Amber Ruffin as Purple M&M. Like, iconic trio, amazing actresses.
That's actually a talent power block. Right there.
Like that's.
I'm impressed.
I mean, Billy West is the red M&M. J.K. Simmons is the yellow one.
J.K. Simmons. I love it. Well, I freaked out when I found that out.
Yeah. Welcome to the episode of Revisiting Nonsense.
Yes.
That's kind of what this
speaking
is,
of revisiting nonsense and advertising icons, now it's time for Fat Watch
2023. Sunday.
Are you soaring, everyone? Do you feel it?
So we're posting a link to Glamour magazine.
Yes.
UK edition.
You, Trevor.
Yes. So they are discussing the backlash. Are you sensing a theme here, people?
Yeah.
To Gatorade's latest ad featured Jessamine Stanley, plus-size yoga instructor, icon, wonderful person.
Talked about her a few times on the show.
Yeah. And unshockingly, I guess just because everything is terrible a lot of the time, people lost their minds at seeing a fat black woman doing yoga better than they can.
By the way, very difficult yoga. Like I don't know the name of the pose at the end, but it's the one where you're on your head with your arms like latticed at your head, and your feet are kind of in that like angled pose above your head. Like
these were not beginner level poses.
Holy shit!
The thing that got me is that's mentioned in the comments. Well, that is to say, the article about the comments, where some horrible person who was like, well, yeah, obviously she's doing good, trying to get in shape, and somebody writes back like, are you don't be ridiculous. It takes years to be able to do that.
Yeah,
like,
she's already in shape. Right.
Yeah. But she's fat, so she can't. So, I mean, that's all they can see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and this was a person. This is the sort of like these are the spectrums of fat. Anti-fat bias, which is that there's the classic like, oh God, I can't believe Gatorade's putting fat people in their ad, blah blah blah. But then there's what Dan pointed out, which is somebody who's ostensibly defending her by saying, oh great. She's at the beginning of her journey. Leave her alone. It's like, no, are you kidding me? She's a professional. She's so good at this. She's already a fit, fantastic, established yoga instructor. That's why she's in the commercial.
But let me turn around real quick and just point out, as bitchy as this makes me, as people's reactions to this make me, I have to look at this again and say, like, this is a commercial where she is part of the ensemble. She is not singled out as being less fit than the others or less worthy of being there by the commercial itself. She's shown just as beautifully as the rest of them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that wouldn't have happened a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I don't think it wouldn't have occurred to anyone to make that happen a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. And the article absolutely acknowledges that. Yeah,
yes.
You're right, Don. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm sorry, this is the year of reframing for me. So I'm trying to see this commercial in a more positive light and drown out some of the hate.
And the commercial is. It's the
it's beautiful.
And that's why it's our Fat Watch, because the article written by Lucy Partington in Glamour like addresses the backlash first, but then goes into all of the reasons why it's that much, basically what Don just said, which is reframing, which is looking at, for instance, in her case, the fact that she didn't used to be able to even look at a gym, much less go to one, because of the fear of that exact same kind of judgment. And now she has her own inspirations in her life, the physical trainers that she's been able to find who've inspired her and empowered her to go and chase her own fitness goals, to be able to go to a gym and have it be her experience and not anybody else's experience.
Yeah, you're talking about the author of the article.
The author, Lucy, yeah. Jessamine Stanley, I think we had her as our Fat Watch subject just a couple months ago. No, she's phenomenal. She has an OnlyFans page where she teaches naked yoga. That's what it was.
I hear something that comes up for me in this. Number one is that it's UK Glamour. That's this. I mean, the Gatorade ad isn't unique to the UK, but these comments are being seen in the UK, probably written by people in the UK, and this article is in UK Glamour. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the vitriol. Whether, I mean, of course, fat bias is global.
It's
and the other
internet,
thing,
yeah,
it's the internet. But the other thing too is I wonder if there's a special amplification of these sorts of comments because you're talking about a woman and you're talking about a woman of color. And I wonder if it would be, I don't know, different, lesser, if it were a fat white man who was a yoga instructor.
Yeah, probably.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, yeah, of course he's going to get, lambasted, but I wonder if people would feel so authorized, because that's something I see is that, a lot of times with fat people or fat women, people feel so authorized to make comments that would be terrible. You would never say that to them in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It feels like it's the difference between having, maybe a majority of comments saying she doesn't belong in that ad versus maybe more comments saying, oh man, it's so good that he's in the beginning of his journey doing this. Where you still get those like, well, no, you're wrong, but it's like wrong in a less egregious way or a less, a less overt sort of nasty way.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, like what we said before with the M&Ms and, Mr. Fucker, that, my objection to this is that she doesn't make me hard. How dare they?
Yeah.
Which,
but I mean,
it's not hyperbole, guys. Like that's
he did
when
say
you
that.
boil down his comments,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, but to me, it sounds more and more like that is part of a like cis male attraction, is to just devalue any person that you would be allowed to be attracted to by a society because of their gender or age or whatever, but you are not. And if you are not attracted to them, that's their fault, and that makes them
yeah.
worthy of hate.
Yeah, it's if you deconstruct it, it's really that he's offended that he is that this person is no longer a sexual object for him.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
he's offended by that.
I think at the end of the day, anyone who wants to criticize Jessamine Stanley for this commercial has to be able to do the exact pose she's doing in the commercial to begin to be able to comment on it, because that is some serious shit.
Yeah,
it is.
That should
I
be
just like keep
captcha,
looking at it.
That should be the captcha thing that you have to show a picture of yourself doing
before
that
you can tweet.
in order to comment.
Imagining some, I don't know, goober like in front of his laptop on the ground, like being like, I'm just so like it's like falling and breaking his laptop.
Well, folks, I want to hear how the cruise went, and I want to hear how the travels have been going.
Goodness, so much to say. So much to
On
say.
to the main subject.
Who wants to go?
What's our main subject today? Why don't we sum that up real quick?
Revisiting.
Yeah, we're
revisiting our beginning of the year stuff, talking about the moves, the vacations, and staying positive over the first year, and our month away. How did it go? So I think the biggest one is probably I guess it's probably the move. Really, that's probably the
most.
Let's start with the move.
Okay, we can do the move. I would say the most exciting one was the cruise, but the move, yeah. So, Mike and I moved to Nevada. We're not too far away, but it has been very eye-opening as far as because my dream was to have a better quality of life at home, because I work from home. I spend most of my time at home, and that wasn't something I could afford in the area that I was currently in, and it was this big decision basically to be able to pursue that. And so we found this place at, I won't say the full street address because that would be foolish on the internet, but I do want to mention that the number of our street address is 69.
Attaboy.
Not 2069, not 7769, just 69. It's
42069.
Exactly, 1337. It's so nice. I have my office. I'm just getting it set up. I'm doing a whole Star Wars thing. The shower is. I'll give Trevor some pictures to put on social media of this shower. It is. Oh my God, chef's kiss. It's phenomenal. It's like all the things that we set up in the prior episode, kind of like hoping it would be. Oh my God. The space, the vaulted ceilings. Michael had to, the first issue that he came up with was that he's been spending so much time actually with places to walk to within the house that within the house, like you get to one end to the other, like you have to, it's more than just a few steps away, like it would be in a small apartment. And so he had to go buy, he had these Bombas slippers that he really loved, but they have no support. And so he had to buy like actual walking, like house slippers. Because it's actually been shockingly cold, which I'm also very much enjoying. Yeah. Oh my God, that shower though. I can't even. It has a built-in ledge to sit on. I can like.
I mean, a ledge in a shower. It's a huge difference. Getting to that undercarriage, getting that, and like, yeah, it's
well, and being able to sit down. If you're a big boy, the showers can be exhausting if there's nowhere to sit. Yeah. And these little shower shelves that you get in handicapped rooms or accessible rooms in hotels. Well, Trevor has some stories to share if you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. Over Thanksgiving, we had a bit of a shower bench fail at a hotel we were staying at, and it was very dramatic and sudden, and there was some damage done, but thankfully no injuries, and the hotel was really great about it.
Well, and at home we have a shelf, like a ledge, like you now have. What about on the cruise, Trevor? Did you sit on that little platform?
Okay, so on the cruise we had an accessible shower. It had a bench. It was actually surprisingly like hard to get down. Which I was surprised by, because like,
to clarify, you mean that it's a platform
like lifted up,
that
so then it would come down. You could pull it down. Yeah. And I was like, I can't imagine, like, especially on a cruise, like the standard, I feel like accessible shower user is probably, older. I'm imagining like an older woman in a wheelchair trying to get this bench down.
Oh, impossible.
And like, I can't picture it, because I had a hard time just with like
You
using
put
my
all your
full
weight
body
into it
weight.
trying to get it down. Yeah.
Yeah. I did sit on it once briefly, but I'm a little gun shy after, ripping a shower bench out of the wall. It seemed pretty sturdy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I sat for a minute and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna
Bounce around on it.
Yeah.
So I have a question because I have a follow-up. I have a bidet story, but I'm
Yes.
curious, what did you bring the little handheld travel bidet with you?
I did. And I actually found it, I don't know, more useful than I did in Vegas.
Okay.
I don't know why, but and there were some times when I really needed that, and it, was a winner.
It was a shipboard design. It was made to be used on board a ship.
Oh, he was
There's plenty
shitting
of water around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was a bit foolish and took a while to actually get the bidet installed. I bought what I thought was the same brand that we shared the link to way back, I think very early pandemic, like, end of March, beginning of April 2020. I had bought those. I had them at my old place, got the same ones for the last place, and then we moved here. And I was like, well, let's, I got one. I was like, oh, I want to try out the hot water, version. Not fully thinking it through, where the master bedroom toilet has a sort of partition next to it. It's not fully in another room. It just has its own little space. You might see, it looks very hotel room-esque. Like you might see a similar setup there. And you have to be able to run a hose directly from the bidet to your sink to get hot water, which I didn't fully realize. So I didn't install that. I just used the regular setting that goes behind the toilet. And the other problem I ran into with this particular bidet, which was the same brand and they've just updated their design, it used to be a dial, and you would turn the dial to the right, and it would increase the pressure, and you could use it, and then you turn it off. It is now the hot water version has the dial function to choose temperature, and then it is a lever that you pull up to actually initiate, and that is a non-starter.
No. Because if if yours is anything like ours, that is a powerful jet stream.
Well, and not even
you can do
that.
some damage.
As Michael was that too. Like the tension is probably hard to control. But Michael was like, I can't lift it. Like my leg is on top of it. Because bidets rarely reach much further than a few inches aside from the actual toilet seat. And so we got rid of that one. He got a different one, which is much better, and it's also slim, which is typically a sign of cheap, but slim in the sense that I don't know if anyone's ever installed a bidet, but it's a layer of the material of the bidet that goes across the top of the toilet seat, right? And then you have to put your toilet seat on top of it and screw them both down to the toilet.
Yeah.
It's layered. It's like a sandwich, and the bidet is in the middle. And it adds space. It adds a little gap between your toilet seat and the actual toilet where it's not actually resting on top of each other. There's a little gap that's missing. And this one has less of that gap, but it's a little easier to sit on without breaking.
I had to replace my seat when I got my bidet.
Yeah. But it's been working nicely so far. So maybe we can post an updated bidet link if people want to check that out.
We had a pretty good shower on the cruise. It was a little small for Trevor, but that's okay. Yeah. He just left the shower curtain open because basically it's kind of a wet room in that it has a lot of like drainage channels.
Yeah.
So I would just mop up after him. Give us the overview on the cruise.
Okay.
Like, where was it from? Where was it to? How long?
So,
it was great.
So we flew into Miami, and this, I've been trying to think, whatever is the opposite of an endorsement. I guess this is like a
condonement,
a condonement, a nemesis, a nemesis, nemesisment.
Nemesis. That's amazing. I love it.
Nemesisment.
The Radisson Red Miami Airport.
Oh, baby.
Oh.
baby.
This fucking hotel.
I wrote a strongly worded letter.
Pre-cruise hotel. There was a lot going on, aesthetic-wise, that was like just weird, but I understand.
And so people know that this is just this is the hotel we checked into because we took a flight and spent a couple of days in Miami before the cruise with some people, and
So I don't know what material exactly this shower was made from.
Uh-oh.
But there were people that arrived before us who were in the group we were cruising with, and they warned me like, oh, the shower is so slippery, like you're going to want to put down a towel or something.
Oh no.
And when we got to the room, and I was just like testing to see how slippery it was. So like I embraced, I know it is going to be slippery. I almost slipped and fell just initially when it got wet.
Was it a tub?
No, it was a walk-in shower.
How
thing.
Was it porcelain?
No, it was plastic, but it was new plastic. It was the slickest plastic they could find. It was the plastic. I don't know if you've ever, something really, really slick. Now imagine coating it in water.
Oh, lawsuit plastic.
Wow.
That's what they call it.
Yes.
Lawsuit plastic.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Again, part of my strongly worded letter. And oh my God. So we ended up putting down towels and just soaking the shit out of them because, that's what happens when you put a towel down in a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he needed a ledge. There was no ledge.
Because we had booked an ADA room. Dan confirmed before we got there that we were going to have an ADA room. So, of course, naturally, we did not have an ADA room.
Of course.
See strongly worded letter.
Did they just lie?
So did they try... You booked an ADA room and they just put you in a non-ADA room, or that was their ADA room and it just wasn't very good?
No. As I pointed out in my strongly worded letter, it's not like, oh, we booked a king, but we don't have a king available. No, we book an ADA room. You have to give the people an ADA room because that's sort of a non-starter.
Yeah.
But as they pointed out, the hotel was full and they only have one ADA room and they didn't care if we got it. So there it went. We didn't know who got it. Somebody got it.
So the cruise we were on, organized by Sam King, who we had early on as a guest in the podcast.
Owner of Travel at Large.
Yeah, and who does Cruising at Large, Chub Chaser Cruises. There's a couple coming out this year. If you want to check it out, cruisingatlarge.com. So we were on Royal Caribbean again, which is where we cruised, 2020 before everything went crazy. And we booked an accessible junior suite, which had a balcony, accessible, big open shower like we've talked about.
Can I say it was exquisite? I loved our room so much.
Oh, nice to hear.
And unlike the hotel I just described, I could live in that room. It had storage for days.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes, love it.
And the other big difference for this cruise is I booked a scooter.
Yes, I remember.
And how'd that work out?
It was wonderful. Although I realized
good.
I'm like, it was not Scooty. This was Scünter.
Scünter.
He renamed him, yes.
With a U and an umlaut.
Yes.
Scünter.
Having this scooter made getting around the ship so much easier, especially because this was a Oasis class ship, which is like the biggest ship Royal Caribbean has. I think they're going to actually be making a larger ship that's supposed to set sail in 2024 or something.
Eventually, you'll just be able to put the whole planet on the ship.
Yes. No, it was huge, and having Scünter to get around, amazing. There were a couple tricky things with so it's a ship, so there's only so much space. So the hallways are fairly tight. So in the evening when we'd be going to dinner, and the stateroom attendants would be doing turn down and everything, there would be these carts in the hallway. Which initially I'm like, oh, maybe I can go around it. And there's also handrails. I could not go around it. It was a whole
but between the handrails on either side, the laundry cart on the one side, and then trying to get Scünter down the remaining space, not so successful. But again, incredible service. Our cabin attendant, Jesse, just realized that, oh, okay, when they go to dinner, I need to clear the path for Scünter.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We didn't actually tell him the scooter's name. I thought that would be a bit much.
Yeah. No, having the scooter also made it a lot easier to so for certain ports, we didn't really have any excursions planned. But I was like, oh, well, I want to go out and get around. So I would take Scünter out. And so when we were in Labadee, we're not really big beach people. So we're like, oh, well, let's just go out and go around the port and the island. And we were able to just kind of go, pretty much to the other end of the island. So in Labadee, Haiti is a kind of sectioned off portion of Haiti that is very like for tourists. But basically like to the end of that section where it's like, okay, there's just sand now.
Nice.
But it was cool. And then, we did the same thing in St. Martin or St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
Just kind of went around.
Sam recommended the third party from whom we rented the scooter, which was, I think, Scootaround. And they actually will hook you up almost anywhere in the world with a scooter. And I think that the thing that's kind of amazing is that you call them up, you do the contract with them, you make sure it's a heavy duty scooter, because if that's what you need. And then it magically appears in your stateroom. And when you're done, you leave it behind in your stateroom, which made me so nervous, but it worked perfectly.
Oh, that's so easy. Wow.
Yeah. You can arrange to have it delivered to the cruise terminal, but apparently that's actually more trouble for them, not to mention you, because you got to find each other at the cruise terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One nice thing we booked a accessible junior suite. So because we were in a suite, we got to go to the suite boarding area, which I think last time we had a suite, but we didn't know we could do this. So it was it was a shorter line, and then we basically got to go to an area where there was seating and coffee and donuts and juice. While everyone else
got to go to this lounge.
Yeah.
And jelly beans.
And jelly beans. No, Sam gave us jelly beans.
Nice.
Wait, you didn't tell us we get jelly beans if we signed with him.
Yeah.
No, God damn it.
I don't know. I will quickly just plug the upcoming cruises. If you're like, oh my God, I have to go on a cruise right now. Trevor, how do I do this? So April 16th through 23rd, 2023, there's a cruise leaving out of Fort Lauderdale, and it is the stops are Phillipsburg, St. Martin, Charlotte, Amalie, St. Thomas, which is where we were, Puerto Plaza, Dominican Republic, and then going back to Fort Lauderdale.
And this is a Chub Chaser cruise. It's specifically for our community.
Yes.
Oh, fun.
There's an Alaskan 2023 cruise.
Ooh.
What's his website if people want to go look this up?
Cruisingatlarge.com, and ending in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Nice.
And then there's also winter 2024 and spring 2024. I won't read those. Check it out.
Lots of cruises.
Yeah. I will end on the last day of the cruise, which was the perfect day at Coco Cay, which I'm like, this is probably going to be the lamest of the things. And so perfect day at Coco Cay is an island that Royal Caribbean owns, and it is just designed to be a resort area for usually the end of cruises. And we booked an overwater cabana.
Ooh.
It was amazing.
It sounds beautiful.
I swam in the ocean for the first time in 20 years.
Oh,
wow.
Yay.
And the ladder was actually well designed and very strong, because there were a lot of, big boys using this ladder to get in and out. And there was a lot of concern from each of them, including myself, of I don't know if I'm going to do this, or if I'm going to have to swim around all these cabanas to get back to the shore. And it was wonderful. I'll share some pictures. It was a delight, and just getting to be with a bunch of friends, old friends, making new friends. Just a very fat, positive environment. It was a good time.
When you book it, you're allowed up to 8 people, but you can add on people for an extra fee. Yeah. They stock a mini fridge for you. All the towels are provided. They provided snorkel equipment, which was so great. They really thought it out, what you're going to need and what you would want. The sound system can connect to your phone if you want.
Yes.
And there's Wi-Fi, so you can use Spotify.
Yeah. I was playing Go-Go. Initially I was playing Lizzo, and Dan was not happy, but then I started playing the Go-Go's, and that was much better for Dan.
That sounds really amazing. I haven't done a full beachy type thing in a long time, but that sounds really, really awesome.
I know, but just also, so I did take the scooter for that, and I was worried about I don't know really how this is designed, if I'm going to be able to get there on the scooter or whatever. They had a tram where I could just drive the scooter onto the tram, and then they dropped us off at the beach resort where the cabana was, and I was able to drive it down the pier and park it on the cabana.
Oh, wow.
Which I should add was necessary because there was so much, there's so much gosh darn sand on the island. He could not have made that with Scünter.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been practical. So it's not like, oh, he could have driven, but he chose the tram. It's that you really needed the tram for that.
Got it.
So I had, speaking of fun driving experiences, I spent Christmas up in Oregon with my parents, and then had to drive back and beat the rain back here.
Oh yeah, and back to the rainy LA apparently.
No, I literally drove ahead of the rainstorm.
Oh wow!
Like things were shutting down behind me as I was driving down to LA. When I was heading up there, I have to drive over what's called the California Aqueduct, which sort of looks like the LA River. If you don't know what that is, it's sort of like a 10-foot tall half tunnel that has concrete walls that like river slough off goes on. When I was driving up there, there was sort of a trickle at the bottom. It looked very nice. Coming back, the water was overflowing the sides of the banks.
Wow.
And I saw a bridge that like a farmer's individual usage bridge for their tractor starting to get torn off its moorings.
Ooh.
Right.
Wow. Ooh.
So I came back to LA. I got here back in time for New Year's. Had a lovely New Year's. And then the rains hit. And shortly after that, our ceiling collapsed.
Oh my God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. The ceiling came down to my roommate's bedroom directly on top of his bed.
Was he in it?
He was not in his bed at that time. We were literally in the living room talking about whether or not, do we have to panic because water is coming through the electrical outlet on your ceiling?
No.
And the landlord said it was fine, but
good.
Of course. Well, as long as they said it was fine.
Just a little duct tape. A little duct tape and you're good.
So I talked earlier in the year about trying to reframe these things as positive events, and if we're doing updates, then I am proud to say that we are still managing to stay positive on all this stuff because we have a new ceiling. Landlords paid for the new bed,
there you go.
and we finally have the new carpeting that I've been trying to get for 5 years. So
Hooray!
a whole new apartment, so. You have to go through some of this bullshit to get to the other side of it sometimes. So
there's nothing like a natural disaster to spur a renovation into high gear.
I know, seriously.
If only that could have happened at my old place. Man. Bastards.
So yeah, keeping on, staying positive. And do we have a tip for the week, Trevor?
We do. Indeed, we do. So I shared this on social media before it happened. But it is now available to watch on YouTube. NAFA, as part of their webinar series, had a seminar on masculinity, body image, and fat with Erin Flores, who's a registered nurse dietitian, and Andrew Whalen, who's a social worker, talking about, everything body image, eating disorders, mental health related to fat and masculinity. So I'll share the link for that. There is, content warning of talks about trauma and body image and fat shaming, but I think it's important. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet because it was just made available. I heard good things for people who are able to attend live, so check it out.
Yay.
Awesome. I have a tip follow-up. I supported the Fat Folks Tarot Deck Kickstarter to get myself a holofoil tarot deck, which I was very excited for. They are, as of this recording, they still have 7 hours left. Of course, this will come out after their Kickstarter is over, but they have made 3 times their asking goal. They're at just over $60,000 right now. So I think you can still, maybe I'm wrong. Can you still support Kickstarters after they end? Is that something they've added as a feature, or is that just...
I think sometimes. I don't know if that's going to be available in this case, just because this is for the final printing.
Got it. Well, anyway, I was very excited to see them have so much success with that Kickstarter because they look super cool, and I can't wait to just... I don't know what I'll use them for, but I'm going to use them for something.
Bit.
How about a bit for today?
All right. Well, seeing as how we are returning and reviewing, I thought today might be a good day to return to our limericks.
Yes.
Exciting.
Throwback.
And so we've got limericks for all of these stories. All of these stories or topics are things we did in 2022.
Okay,
Right.
On our show.
On our no, on other people's shows.
Well, no, just in case people don't, yes.
For a fun thing to do with your bae, Though the event's not really that gay, it's a yearly celebration for the fat across our nation. Congratulations, it's World
Obesity Day?
Yes.
Oh, right.
I remember that.
Good stuff.
And I don't actually remember when World Obesity Day is. I should have written that down. But
Not Fat Tuesday?
be ready to celebrate it when it rolls around again. All right. Our next limerick. Though it might have given us fits, through its humor was oft hit or miss. It still gave some laughs, though some jokes were gaffes. Overall, we've seen worse than...
Don's
Rhymes with fits, rhymes with...
Don's bits.
Overall, we've seen worse than the Ritz.
Oh, I forgot. Was that last year?
That was last year.
It was a long year.
It was a very long year.
Wow, that seems like 100 years ago.
All right, our last one. Ready? Diabetic? Well, guess them's the breaks. If you're shocked you don't have what it takes. When this many bakers cross so many acres, can't keep up with demand for...
Yeah.
Sexy cakes.
No.
Yes.
Is it sexy?
Congratulations, Trevor. Sexy cakes.
Sexy cakes. I think that's my new pet name for Trevor now. Hey, sexy cakes.
Hey, Jelly Bean.
So, dear listener, if you have a limerick for us and you would like to share it with us, we're happy to hear it. Trevor, where can they go to give us their incredible limericks?
Well, we're on Instagram and Twitter as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Give us 5 stars there. Give us 5 stars everywhere. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at
www.bigfatgaypod.com.
Man, that was actually really stressful after not having done it for so long.
Glad we can still bring that back.
Well, maybe you're finishing listening and you're in bed and you're getting up, and then all of a sudden there's the tinkle of jelly beans falling to the floor, and you pick one up and you look at it, and it's me. It's tiny, but my eyes are closed, and then I'm awake. So watch out!
Oh my goodness gracious!
Doing it live.
I'm hitting stop.
I'm also hitting stop.
Oh man.